Hi everybody, I'm Whitney. My booktube channel is called All the Shelves, and this is a continuation of my top 10 favorite novels of 2015. Today I will talk about my number 5 through number 1 favorite books of 2015. My number 5 favorite book of 2015 was this one, The Department of Speculation by Jenny Offel. I thought that this was so good that I read it in an afternoon and then I went to the store and bought it. I don't buy a lot of new books, but I just thought that this one was brilliant. It's very short. You probably can't tell, but you know, there's double spacing between paragraphs, and then, oh, I don't want to give anything away. And then there is, you know, really big margin, so it doesn't take very long to read, but it is so dense and packed. It's the story of a marriage, basically. It's just how people meet, how they fall in love, what happens after that, and how a marriage can ravel and unravel and dissolve and formulate and all of it. So I just really loved it. It was dense, like I said. It was packed with things to unpack. Packed with things to unpack. The narrative voice does really interesting things, the way that it shifts around, and I don't want to give anything else away about this book because it is so short. I just loved it. So this is The Department of Speculation by Jenny Offel. My fourth favorite novel of 2015 was No Country for Old Men by Cormac McCarthy. McCarthy is one of my very favorite authors. I don't know how I didn't read this. I think I saw the movie and then I wanted to give myself some space before I tried to read the novel, and then I just watched the movie over and over again because it is a pretty amazing movie. But now I finally have read this book. It is deserving of all the praise. Last time I mentioned True Grit. So I guess me and the Coen brothers are just on the same page because this novel is beautiful, it's violent, it is gritty, it is horrifying. McCarthy's language is fascinating to me. He is taking those minimalist techniques and he is combining them with the most overblown, flowery language. He has this like immense, intense, intimidating vocabulary, and he puts that right on the border between United States and Mexico, usually, most of his novels, although he does have those Tennessee novels as well. McCarthy novels you can read over and over again. If you have never read McCarthy, The Road is a popular place to start, but I would recommend starting with All the Pretty Horses. I think that is representative of his work because it is about the West and crossing borders and all of that. My very, very, very favorite McCarthy novel is The Crossing. It's just devastatingly beautiful, and I think a lot of people really respond to Blood Meridian, but I would not recommend starting there if you are intimidated at all by difficult novels, masculine, violent novels. The Blood Meridian is not only difficult to read because of the language, but also like extremely violent, disturbingly violent. But anyway, No Country for Old Men, this one, the one I'm talking about, that was great. My number 4 favorite novel of the year. My third favorite novel of the year was Geek Love by Katherine Dunn. That book is batshit crazy. I have never read anything like it. I was so pleasantly surprised by it. It's crazy. It is about these circus freaks, and they use the term freaks, I think, lovingly. There's a little boy that is an aqua boy that swims and has fins. There is an albino hunchback. There are Siamese twins, and there is a little baby who can, I'll just say he is powerful. So there's a combination of magical realism, there are some political, really disturbing undertones to it. There's a lot of stuff about eugenics and genetic manipulation that is very uncomfortable. I would say the whole book is very uncomfortable, but in the most pleasant way possible. Does that make any sense? I'm not sure. I like reading about uncomfortable things, I guess. As this list has shown so far, I really like disturbing, violent stuff. If you haven't read Geek Love, I would definitely recommend picking it up. It's time to pick it up. It is so, so good. My number 2 novel of the year was Station 11 by Emily St. John Mandel. It's an apocalypse type book, a post-apocalypse book. There's some sort of mysterious virus that takes everybody out, and the only people that are left to roam the countryside. When there's no mail service, there's no internet, there's no cell phone, we kind of revert back to this tribal attitude, and the book while I am not the biggest post-apocalyptic fan, I wouldn't say that because I don't like those novels, I just don't really seek them out. This book did it in a way that I have never seen done before, where I was actually shocked to think about some of the things that were a situation like this to happen, I would have to do without. But I remember this little moment where somebody is talking about how they are never going to see the lights when you're in an airplane. They're never going to see like the lights of the city below them again when they are flying into a city. That for some reason really struck me. That really saddened me. I think not only because, you know, that's a beautiful sight, but because I've been in so many airplanes that I just take that for granted. There are so many things like that in this. Like, she talks about collecting comics like they are the most precious artifact that you could possibly find. And I'm not talking about Action Comics #1, I'm talking about just like comics, self-published comics. So I loved the way that this book made the world new for me again. It appreciated all these tiny little parts of living that make you think that were this to happen and there is this horrible disease that takes out everybody, you wouldn't be one of the ones just giving up, because there are all these amazing things in the world. My mailman's here. Mail, that's an amazing thing. My #1 favorite novel of 2015 is 4 novels. I am cheating. It is Elena Ferrante's Neapolitan series, which I think counts as one large novel. You can't read them out of order. You can't just pick up one. They're not self-contained. If you skipped one, you'd be totally lost. So I think they count as one complete novel, but marketability would be shot if they tried to publish this over 1,000-page novel. I think it'd be like 1,300 pages. The books are so good. I loved these books. I would say I consumed them. I scarfed them. It was the story of 2 best friends growing up in Italy through beginning in the 1950s and through to contemporary times. And while we have gotten, I feel like, a lot of stories recently, and this is a great thing, but we've gotten a lot of stories about female friendship, right? But a lot of those stories have been this kind of like positive whitewashing rhetoric of like the squad, the girl squad. I mean, there's like the Taylor Swift kind of mentality of female friendships where nothing goes wrong, you support each other in everything, you love to braid each other's hair and shit. Nothing's wrong with braiding each other's hair, and I have those kinds of friends too, but I think for me, the friends that are the most important to me, the longest lasting, the deepest, and the most satisfying friendships are contentious. There are ups and downs. We have to accommodate each other's viewpoints because we're going to tell each other everything. Those are the kinds of friendships I'm interested in seeing on the page, and this is that to a T. It is so detailed. You wouldn't think that you'd be interested in hearing about, you know, like, oh, I ate this for lunch today, and then we walked down here, and then we walked over here, and then I studied this book. But it is really interesting. She has a way of writing it so that it's like completely intense, everything that's happening to these 2 girls. And in that way too, it is really relatable, painfully relatable in some parts. I would say my favorites in order go 2, 1, 4, 3. I still loved #3, but it was like a little bit more political and I wasn't as interested in the Italian politics as I was in the friendship. But #2 broke my heart. It was teenagers trying to fall in love. There is nothing more heartbreaking and pathetic than a teenager falling in love. I don't like to think necessarily about my teenage self falling in love, so when I read it on the page, it was hard to read, but totally necessary. I think I learned a lot about myself through these novels. They were also inspirational. She was a writer and a scholar. Both of them are brilliant, and it just was amazing. It was wonderful. Read the Neapolitan novels. I know it's intimidating because there's 4 big thick novels, but they go fast, and I really think that everyone, if they give them a chance, would love them. I think they're instant classics. We're going to be seeing these in classrooms, and I think that is so exciting to know right from the start what is going to stick around. And these Neapolitan novels, they're gonna stick around. So that is my top 10 books of 2015. This video was number 5 through 1. You can go check out my last video to see number 10 through 6. I think that will give you an idea of what kind of books I really like to read. Next time I will have a list of my top 10 favorite nonfiction books though, because I left those out of this list. There were just so many things I liked reading last year. 2015 was a great reading year for me, which is probably why I wanted to start this booktube channel to talk about it, because I'm feeling very positive about reading and books. So I will be back for that nonfiction video, and I hope you have a good day and happy reading. Bye!